Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and this is my review, my what I think of Season 1, Episode 5 of the Orville, Pria, an episode all about how hot Charlize Theron is. Oh, well, I mean, that's my take on it, but I know I'm not the only one here. No, this show continuously impresses me as it goes along. We're 5 episodes into the series. It has already found its voice. It's the best thing we've seen since The Next Generation in terms of hope and optimism with Star Trek-like type stuff. And even though Star Trek Discovery is on and people have kind of been ragging on it, it's very divisive, a Star Trek spin-off, well, not a spin-off, but a spoof, got Jonathan Frakes to direct an episode. And I think he's doing a couple episodes this season, too. So you got Will Riker himself, who directed, I think, all 4 of the Next Generation movies, coming in to do this. So that's no small feat. That's no small thing. And I'm even hearing that Patrick Stewart and Scott Bakula are going to be coming into future episodes. But I'll talk about that as it goes on. I just want to say that I love this show. I raced home from seeing Blade Runner 2049 an hour away from where I live in order to get home to watch it, because that's how excited I was. I was also really hoping that with Charlize Theron being blasted all over the ads for this, the ratings will improve. Moving it from Sunday to Thursday, I think hurt it, but the show is getting and building a very dedicated and loving fan base, and that is something that is fantastic. And I wish the Seth and the cast and crew and everyone involved a rapid rise and a second season, if not far more than just 2 seasons. But anyway, this episode, again, just another nice singular standalone episode about Ed. Essentially, I look at this episode more about Ed, but it starts off and it's got, again, what I feel is this show is going to do well in terms of the comedy being established in the cold open, is what it feels like. This time around, you've got the crew in the bridge of the Orville watching an old episode of Seinfeld, because of course a show set in the 2400s is going to go back to a 1990s comedy, because that's, just relatable to the audience. But it was the episode where Jerry and Kramer are watching, I think it was like an open heart surgery, and one of the junior mints flies off and lands in the cavity of the guy being operated on, and everyone's laughing their ass off except for Isaac, who doesn't get the concept of a joke, which leads Gordon to basically, say, hey, I'm gonna prank you so you know what a joke is, and that of course has its own ramifications later on. But this is where we get to the meat of the episode, where we find out that there's a distress signal coming from a comet being sucked into the gravitational pull of a sun, and the crew shows up to go down and rescue the Captain Pria Lavesque, played by the Charlize Theron. Again, full episode she's in, and it's good, man. It's so good. She was a great character. Her and Seth have great chemistry from A Million Ways to Die in the West, and that was very much on repeat here. But what I love is that there is something mysterious about her. Of course, Ed doesn't see it because he is smitten right off the bat. There's even a line from Gordon when they're discussing about whether or not they should go and rescue her, and he's like, due to the attractiveness of the captain, I say we make it a priority, because clearly that's where Gordon's mind is. But Ed's right there with him, like, yeah, you come with me. We're gonna go down and go get her. But Kelly kind of turns in. This is a joking term I was kind of calling her during the episode. I was calling her Jelly Kelly. She gets jealous right off the bat, especially when Priya and Ed share a story from from Massachusetts, where they go to the Salem Witch Museum and they're able to talk about it, and they have this cute flirtatious back and forth with Kelly right in between, and she's like, "You never told me that." He's like, "Well, yeah, you would have had to have been there. You would have had to have been there." I mean, it's really obscure. It's one of those things. And you could see she's getting pissed off. So she goes to Alara and says, hey, let's go search her room for anything we might find, and talks Alara into it with a Kelly request. But I love, there's a little gag there that I thought was great that I laughed out loud at, was the fact that Kelly's like, no, I'm a professional. This is a professional thing. I'm not entirely into what Priya's all about. I want to make sure she's on the up and up. Totally a professional. And then it's a smash cut to her knocking on the door going, housekeeping? And then they go in and they search it, and they find this little rectangular box that they can't scan through, but they know that it's something of merit. Of course, they go and they tell Ed. Ed's like, I really don't care what it is. Oh my God, he found a rectangle. It could be a belt buckle. Clearly he's not being objective here. Kelly calls him out on it. And And then, of course, the crew finds themselves in the middle of a dark matter storm, in which case Pria is able to then get them out of it, which basically then solidifies Ed's trust in her. He takes her to the holodeck, shows her a beautiful scene of a planet where the natives, if they catch outsiders, dismember them to a raccoon god. In which case, then they start making out, and he's like, "Oh, I've been hurt before. I shouldn't jump into a relationship right away or anything. We got to take it slow." And they end up having sex. And honestly, good for Ed. Ed needed to kind of get the rebound out of the way. And in this particular case, who better than a woman who he has a lot in common with, a woman who he has instant chemistry with, and of course is making the ex jealous, so that's only going to add to the taboo nature of their relationship. As soon as they had sex, I was like, oh my. And then, things get a little bit weird. Pria then takes control of the ship, as we pretty much knew was going to happen in this 44-minute episode. But what's interesting, though, and here's the twist, it's not like she's some kind of space pirate. She essentially, to me, is like Q from TNG, right? At least I hope she becomes like John Delancey's Q to an extent. She's a time traveler from the year 2900, 500 years in the future, and she goes back through a wormhole that allows her to go and find ships that are going to be destroyed, potentially. There could be some kind of nefarious thing here, but she goes and she rescues those ships before they're destroyed in the depths of space, takes them back through the wormhole, and then sells them to the highest bidder. And when asked what happens to the crew, she says, well, they're free to live out their lives. So she doesn't kill them. She goes back, she rescues them from death, sells off their ship, makes a profit, and then takes them 500 years into the future to live out their life however they want. Which is very interesting. It's a very interesting concept. It was business. To her, it was all business. To which case, Ed gets a little upset. You find out that this woman that you saved, that you thought you saved, that you have this connection with, the first woman you're able to lower your guard with since your wife cheated on you with a blue guy, and you find out she's 500 years from the future, and she's going to steal your ship. And of course, they're able to figure out a way to get past this, and basically they end up destroying the wormhole. And that was actually kind of a sad moment, actually. And again, the show tends to tackle these particular issues. The whole time, Priya is telling Ed, "Come with me, come with me, come with me, come with me, come with me." Don't be the man who's like, still not over his ex. Come with me, we could be together. And I actually looked at that as being sincere. I think she legitimately cared for him. She still had a job to do. She still had her job to do. She wasn't going to give that up for no man. She don't need no man, sort of thing. But she still legitimately cared. And Ed cares for, his crew. He cares for Kelly, everything else. And in that moment, he has to make that decision. Do I go with her? Do I destroy the wormhole? Do I give up the opportunity for maybe love? Right? Like, is this going to work out? Is this really a thing? I mean, we know the show was leading him and Kelly to get back together. Clearly, Jelly Kelly was indicating that there's still some chemistry there, and we've seen a bit of that play out in previous episodes. But if I was in his shoes in that moment in time, I would stop and I would just be like, man, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. It's kind of like the something new versus something old, I guess, but at the same time there was definitely chemistry there, and they who knows, they might have gone on these kind of adventures together, but he ends up basically taking out the wormhole, and then she just disappears. And that was sad, actually. That was, again, like, kind of hits you square in the feels, and the episode is written by Seth as well, and it's just one of those things where it's like you make that choice. Because she says, you guys should have died. You guys should not be here. I saved you. And he's like, yes, but by saving us, that was your action. You rewrote the timeline. Who knows how this is going to impact your future. But Pria Lavesque will have no reason to come back to the 2400s. And that's why they nuke the wormhole. Now, I'm sure that there's probably going to be another incident with Pria down the road. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, which means if they go through the course of events and her timeline doesn't change, she will still get into the whole ancient salvaging aspect of it and maybe find another wormhole that will be able to be manipulated by people in her line of work that could then come back and they could have it all over again. She won't know who they are, but they'll know who she is. And that could create a very interesting dynamic, and one, I'm not going to lie, that I would love to see play out. I would love to see Charlize Theron come back. I know it was meant to be kind of a one-off role, but the character The character is going to be remembered by fans of the Orville, and it's going to be looked at as probably one of the better episodes of the first season. Granted, the last 3 episodes have been dynamite, have been fantastic, have been great. So the show just keeps increasingly getting better. And I love that. I love the fact that it is something I'm legitimately excited each week to watch. But I will say the funniest bits, because there were some good comedy this time around, mostly between Gordon and Isaac. And I've been wanting more from Gordon in terms of character development and just more on screen time with him and with Scott Grimes. And then Isaac, they get into this whole back and forth in terms of practical jokes. So Gordon's like, I'm gonna get you, I'm a prank you, and he ends up putting Mr. Potato Head on Isaac, which is, it caught me so off guard that I just burst out laughing watching that. Like, it just hit me. So funny. And then, of course, Isaac gets him back by chopping off his leg in his sleep. And Kelly's like, did you anesthetize him in his sleep? And he's like, well, yeah, I felt that would be the right course of action. And then they take him to the sick bay and they go to grow back his leg. Now, Isaac gets injured trying to get into the box that Pria had left, and he effectively kind of dies somewhat. His consciousness goes into the computer system, but he's laying there dead. His body's lifeless. And Gordon's there next to him and basically says, like, hey, man, look, I know I called you a son of a bitch the last time we spoke, and I'm sorry. That was one of the best pranks. And it was that kind of like, it was a bonding thing that Isaac didn't hear, but it was Gordon showcasing that, like, yes, he respects Isaac for what he did. He respects the prank. He respects how it got him. And it was kind of like a bit of a bro moment, although one-sided, but still sweet. Still sweet. Now, what I really want to see going forward is I want to see more with Lamar. We're not seeing much out of Lamar right now. John Lamar is kind of, he's there. He had that boom bitch moment from the last episode. He's getting a little bit here and there, but we haven't got a lot with him yet. So I'm hoping going forward we get a bit more with him. This was very much a Bortus light episode. There wasn't a lot of Bortus in there. And the same thing with Claire, not a lot with Claire. So it's kind of like, they're definitely going to be focusing on different characters each episode. What I liked about the last episode was it had the bulk majority of the cast there on the planet or in the spaceship, and they were all kind of working together as an away team sort of thing. I'm hoping we see more of that. But this was a good star-studded episode, and one that you can tell is probably going to be a staple of this franchise, as Seth basically reaches out to his friends and is like, hey, come on to the Orville, we'll have a little bit of fun and poke fun at CBS in the process. And I'm pretty sure they'll all be on board. I just hope we never see Will Wheaton.